Asher Allah, Yahweh, Allah Haganawa, Yahweh, Achad, Shemai, Yasher Allah, Yahweh, Allah Haganawa, Yahweh, Achad, Shemai, Yasher Allah, Yahweh, Allah Haganawa, Yahweh, Achad, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. I'm Zahar, spirit wind lawyer, and today I want to go into a topic entitled The Earth and Her Healing Benefits. The Earth and Her Healing Gems. I think that's what I entitled it. All right, and how we should utilize the earth in our day-to-day lives, man. You know, how we should utilize the earth in our day-to-day lives, man. And I think about Elam and just certain cultures like Elam and Ammon, where they drink tea throughout the day. And first thing in the morning, they do is drink tea. Now, lately I've been on my keto. Um, I've been basically on my keto regimen, right? And within the ketogenic framework, all right, is basically you're taking the high fat, medium protein approach, right? And you're minimizing carbs. You don't really zero out carbs, but you keep your carbo intake under 30 grams. Some would say 50 grams, you know, pretty low, 20, 30, 50 grams a day. Long story short, you might fast the first part of the day. You know, you still might do an intermittent fast. And what I'm saying all this to say, within that framework, I've adopted a particular tea. I started using a particular tea called matcha tea. And it reminds me of Elam, although I think Ammon uses it. But it reminds me of Elam, where Elam just drinks tea throughout the day, you know. And long story short, matcha tea is basically a green tea, but it's basically like a high fat green tea. The fact that it's high fat, it sustains you longer than a regular green tea with all the benefits of a green tea. Okay. And then you could just Google the benefits of matcha tea. But just it's something to drink that allows you to go without eating for a while. All right. Because of its fat content. Fat keeps you full. Like someone might say, if you want to go without eating, you know, if you want to keep from being hungry, you'll eat nuts because nuts are high in fat. All right, but that concept, that concept, all right, it keeps you full. All right, so just long story short, within the ketogenic framework, you know, I would drink the matcha tea. I've been doing it lately. I went so far as to actually buy the matcha powder because I would go to a particular uh, um, cafe in which I would buy matcha or the matcha tea, and it would be like $7 plus. So that's something that I did not want to do budget wise every day. So I took it upon myself to make it. And long story short, it's pretty good. It turned out pretty good, man. I don't have everything that goes with it because there's like this little bamboo whisk that you use to help aerate the matcha. So I haven't purchased that yet. But in general, I've made a pretty good matcha tea. You know, it's about 1 ounce of hot water, 6 to 8 ounces of milk, 1.5 teaspoons of the matcha powder, and about a teaspoon of your sweetener. And lately I've used the monk fruit sugar as a sweetener, but it turned out really well, you know. Something good to warm you up. I would drink it warm, but also just putting those benefits into your body, you know. And I'm gonna do another video on this particular fruit called a tamarind. A tamarind is a high nutritious fruit. All right, now I don't eat it as much because it is high in carbs, so it's not within that framework of the ketogenic lifestyle. But if you're not keto, it'll be great for you. But the spirit led me to a video where Jake basically enlivened his water by soaking tamarind inside the water. So basically, he got a mason jar full of spring water, and he peeled maybe, I don't know, 3-4 stems of tamarind, and put it inside the water full of if he put it inside the mason jar full of water. And basically, he was saying this: uh, you let it soak in the water, and it gives so many nutrients to the water. You see, so I mean, that's badass, man. Once you get into the benefits of what comes from the earth, be it fruits, vegetables, roots. I know some vegetables you have to wash, you have to cook to get the oxalate levels down, or some vegetables you might just avoid altogether, like the apostles was going into. But in general, like the in Wisdom of Solomon in 7, all right, it says wisdom brings the virtues of roots. All right, wisdom taught him the virtues of roots, man. Roots are healing. People like to enhance their sexual libido. Well, what's one source? Those ginsengs. Panax ginseng is a root. It's a root that you dig off the ground. All right. You have beetroot. It has a lot of benefits, and one thing it does is it increases that nitric oxide in your body, which increases blood flow. All right. You can take beetroot juice before you work out. Now you're pumping more. All right. Hey, Shalom, Elder Hawad. Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Bahashim Hawashad, Bahashim Hakodash Brakatham. Okay? So, I'm just naming a few things that I've been experimenting with for a while. Some things you get it and you just keep using it. You apply it to your everyday regimen. Some things I might have experimented with it, but for whatever reason, I just didn't use it so much. Not that it didn't work, but sometimes, life just takes you in different directions. But like I said, that tamarind fruit, I recommend brothers look it up because it gives you that vigor, It gives you that vigor, man. It gives you that energy, man. And it's not a very popular fruit in the United States, but it's a very potent fruit in the United States. And it looks like a pecan, not a pecan. It looks like peanuts. It looked like peanuts, but you got to peel the shell. And when you peel the shell, it's a layer of meat that encloses, that embodies the seed. All right, so you're basically eating off the meat of the fruit, and it tastes and it feels like sour gummy worms. You see, only thing about it is not poison. All right, but it's just high in nutrition, high in energy, just like that matcha, that matcha tea, that matcha powder. It's high in energy, high in nutrition. You see? Something to stimulate you, something to give you energy throughout the day, because you don't have to eat this big meal for breakfast. This waffle and sausage and eggs and for breakfast, man. If we're talking about energy, you could drink electrolytes for breakfast, man. You can drink water that has electrolytes in it. All right, or you could add electrolytes to your water. You could squeeze lime juice into your water. You could add sea salt to your water. All right, because what are electrolytes? It's minerals like magnesium, potassium, and calcium. That's electrolytes, man. And sometimes your hunger pain really comes from a lack of, your body is depleted of minerals. You see, sometimes cravings come from your body is low in energy, and it's communicating through you by giving you cravings for food that'll give it energy. Okay. But once again, Esau, or Shashua, he has us eating without intention. You're supposed to eat with the intention, meaning you eat with the intention of putting the proper nutrition into your body. Hey, going back to one of my go-to scriptures, cursed be thy land whose prince is a child who eats in the morning, whose king is a child, and Esau is a child, man. And the way the king is how the people are pursuing to Sirach 10. The way of the king is the way of the subjects. And the subjects in America, they just live a lifestyle that pleases their flesh. That's a loud ass crow. They just have a lifestyle, they live a lifestyle that pleases their flesh, man. You see? But once again, that matcha tea, that tamarind fruit, um, I think it's a fruit called lychee. That lychee, all right. So you got pretty sweet fruit, and sometimes you will go to say an Oriental store. I've even been to Issacarite stores, and they have this exotic fruit, man, that you don't see in your everyday stores like Walmart or Kroger. You know, your everyday local store, man. But it's fruits that exist in the planet that just works wonders for your body. You know, like I said, it's certain roots, it's certain plants that can be powderized into a tea, and it's just good to put this medicine in your body every day. Okay. And I was thinking about this particular fruit, right? It's the spirit, because I was like, man, when I switched my diet, I realized I couldn't eat this particular fruit because it's high in carbs. So I'm like, damn, I don't want to neglect this fruit. But then the spirit led me to a video where Jake basically infused the fruit inside of water and let it just kind of soak and let the water absorb the nutrition from the fruit. It's like, hey, the water, But, I mean, that's pretty much the point, that the earth has healing medicines, man. Even I've realized nature walks, it heals the spirit. If you want to recharge, you take these nature walks that just push life back into you, man. Do a couple miles in nature. And we have the apostles as great examples, man. They do several miles in nature, man. But I've learned that it's worth sacrificing certain things in your schedule to work out, man. And to incorporate things in your life that gives you energy as opposed to deplete you of energy. To give you energy as opposed to depleting you of energy. But sometimes, you're in the flesh and, things happen. But, exercising is one thing that gives you energy. Eating a certain way, eating with the intention, eating from nature, it gives you energy. Deep breathing exercises, that gives you energy, man. I'm learning the power of oxygen. I just been kind of slowly meditating on it. How one of the most powerful elements that I would say that exists on a periodic table is oxygen. Because you could go weeks without food. You could go a couple days, a few days without water. But how long can you go without oxygen? And I realized the one thing that empowers your body is oxygen. All right, number one amplifiers, one of the top amplifiers in regards to energy and invigorating your body is oxygen. What's that other Hawaii says? I make my own lemon and cucumber drinks. Hey, that sounds good, because I know that cucumber is high in water. It's a great hydrator, man. So definitely. I've noticed a lot of the most highest fruit, right? They're high in water, because the number one thing you feed your cells is really water. Because everybody has to call spring water. Esau tries to sell you the most high spring water, or he'll go so far as to sell you Gatorade and shit. But really, the original Gatorade was fruit. Why do I say that? Because what does fruit consist of? Water, sugar, and electrolytes. And that's what Esau sells you. He sells you water, sugar, and electrolytes. Except he Frankensteins it. Got these artificial sweeteners and shit. So the number one thing your body needs, that original thing that the Most High made for Adam. We know the earth changed after the flood, but the original diet for Adam was fruit in the beginning. And we know that most fruit consists of what? Water, sugar, and electrolytes. And it feeds your cells. And the fact that fruit is meaty in the sense that it's structured water, it has a slower absorption rate. Which allows your cells to really absorb those minerals that come with that structured water. As opposed to you drinking dry or flat water and you just piss it right back out. Really, the water itself is a conduit, so to speak. It's a conduit that carries the minerals. All right. When you think about H320, which is 3 molecules of oxygen. No, 3 molecules of hydrogen and 2 molecules of oxygen. All right. How does the hydrogen play in water? Water is like a carrier. It carries those oxygen molecules. The hydrogen, I believe, it connects to the oxygen molecules and it sends it, all right, to those cells, man, through your bloodstream. So I have to, go back into it, but I believe that oxygen is really like a conduit. It's like it sends the other molecules, other minerals throughout your body. And the original spring water was fruit, because when we think of fruit, most fruit grow from what? Trees. And most trees have roots that's buried deep in the ground. All right. Yeah, no. You know how it is, bro. But yeah, most fruit come from trees, and the trees have roots that's buried deep into the ground. So they say sometimes the roots are actually longer or taller, so to speak, than the actual tree itself. But what's the purpose of roots? Okay. What's the purpose of tree roots, man? All right, I'm gonna tell you what those roots do. You can Google this. The roots is like it act as a carrier. What it does, it sucks up the water that's deep in the ground. Just how you would go to a well, right? A water well, and you'll carry the bucket down to the water well, and you bring it back up, and you have water. Well, those roots go to that same source to suck up the water from the earth. But it also has a filtering system to filter out the dirt. Or to filter out the dirt, and it sends that water ultimately through the tree, through the roots, into the fruit. So that's how you can have a fruit that doesn't really have an opening, so to speak, but it's filled with water, because the roots carried that water from the earth. All right, suck the water from the earth, filter out the dirt particles, and sent that water to the fruit that it was growing. All right, so that's bad. That Most High, man, he's amazing. You see, that's why I said the original water was fruit. And the Most High, he hydrated and he sustained the sons of Adam through fruit. You see, because what are some of the 3 main things you get in most fruit? You get the water, you get the electrolytes, and the fructose, the sugar. And I know Dr. Sebi kept talking about carbohydrates, carbs, right? And I took it upon myself to look up carbohydrate, and I realized it was a unification of 3 different elements on the periodic table. Carbohydrates is a combining of carbon. It's a combination of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. I'm gonna say it again. It's a combination of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And most fruits, they have that. And that's what makes it like a living fruit, man, a living food, man. But just to get that full spectrum, after the flood, what did the Israelites eat? What did we eat in the desert? We had that quail, we had that manna. And when kingdoms was established, like the kingdom of Solomon, what did Solomon eat? What was his daily portion, man? It was that meat, you see, that royal palate. He had that royal menu, But going back to that food source, man, carbohydrates. Esau pollutes everything, but that was the original food source. All right, that carbon, that oxygen, and that hydrogen, a combination, and you find that element in most fruit. You see. And I realized that fruit is great for hydration and replenishing the system, man. When you first wake up, like Elder Hawaii said, he makes that lemon and cucumber water, man. You see? And I'm saying all this, and I'm seeing Jake, man. I'm seeing Jake in my environment. Let me go back to the car because I gotta go back to handle some business. But Jake is sick, and basically sick because of sin. The reason why Jake looks like this, and he's in this condition economically, health-wise, spiritually, all that, man, is because of sin. All right? It's because of sin, man. Okay? But I'm realizing the importance of rehydration, man. Like when you first wake up in the morning, and I'm realizing that your body can't even function properly, your brain, because there's a gut-brain connection, all right? Your brain can't function correctly if you're depleted of hydration. Point blank period, man. So the first thing to put into your body is some type of water, man. Like the Elder Hawaii was getting into, you amplify the power of that water by certain things that you put into it. Like the lemon cucumber, okay? That lemon cucumber, that lime juice. I made a tonic before, and it consisted of water. Might have been distilled water, might have been spring water, but it was like water. I got the aloe vera meat. I got a little agave nectar. No, I'm sorry, it was coconut water. It was coconut water with agave nectar with aloe vera meat, and I think I had a little sea salt to kind of balance out that bitterness from the aloe vera meat, and a little lime juice. But that was my tonic, because us being these Adamites, we need that water, man. And we need, like they say, living waters, all right? Because if your water doesn't have electrolytes in it, if water doesn't have certain elements, and the elements bring everything to life. For example, we're breathing oxygen, which is the element, but what does oxygen do? It keeps us alive, man. So it's important to take in elements that enliven your water, man, because that's going to enliven you, all right? And a lot of us can't function, well, none of us can function without proper elements in our body, man. Because basically you're taking the elements of the periodic table in different forms. In different forms is digestible to your body and absorbable to your body. We can't just start eating soil, But it all breaks down back to the elements, man. Even wearing certain gemstones alter your spirit, alter your body's strength, because it's an amplifier. Those gemstones consist of what? A concentration of minerals, a concentration of those elements. When you get a gemstone book, and you get a book that breaks down the elements in each gemstone, you realize it's like an energetic food for your body that you're absorbing through wearing it. All right? That's why I named this lesson, The Earth and Her Healing Properties, the Earth and Her Healing Gems, man. You see? So the Most High is badass, man, but the importance of water, the importance of hydration. A lot of us get dehydrated in the wintertime because we think we don't need water. But it's that water, man. Water from fruit, or just spring water. Or the Elder Pastor, he was going up today. I think he had that Celtic salt, but it's so high in minerals, and it was a good it had electrolytes in it. So you put that Celtic salt in your water. I know that lime is electric, so to speak. I squeezed some lime and some lime juice and from the lime itself, from some water I had. Next thing you know, I had to have a bowel movement. It just stimulated my digestive system, man, which is good. These are things that's supposed to happen in the morning time, But that's pretty much the point, I hope this lesson brought some edification. Brothers that have experiences with certain herbs, certain fruit, please feel free to share it on the comment board, But we are the sons of Adam, and when the Most High put us in human form, he put us in this earth that was meant to sustain us, man. All right, and it's good to know these things so you can know the building blocks to sustaining your body. And me, I'm learning something new every day. Like I said, I was getting into oxygen. Let me flip the camera. I was getting into the power of oxygen. And shit, we all need oxygen, not only to breathe oxygen, but to ingest oxygen. And I was just reading, when you go into H2O or H320, it's hydrogen mixed with oxygen, or hydrogen combined with oxygen, you know? But just the power of, the importance and the power of having things that's rooted back into oxygen. A good oxygen source, man. I've done deep breathing exercise for 20 minutes. Then when I started my day, I would just amplify it. My performance was amplified, you know? Or you'll eat certain fruit or certain foods. It's a lot. 1 second. You'll eat certain food, all right, that's high in oxygen, and you'll realize, like, damn. Or, you know, you'll take certain herbs. For example, you'll take that ginkgo or ginkgo, all right, and now you could think clearer. It's supposed to help with dementia. You know, now you perform better, but why? It releases oxygen in your bloodstream. Well, like I was getting into the beetroot, the beetroot releases nitric oxide in your body, but really, there's like a form of oxygen. You see? That's why you hear the word oxide in it, you know? Oxygen is like an air gas. Oxygen is an air gas, and it stimulates their blood flow. But it's a powerful element that your body needs. And the way you know you need it, what happens if you stop breathing? What happens if you go underwater? All life form needs oxygen. Even fish, their gills basically have a system to extract the oxygen from the water. You see? And you, a fish's life, like if you had a fish tank, you would enhance their life, you enrich their life by putting live plants in their fish tank. Because what do the plants do? They release oxygen in the fish tank, you know? So a powerful element to put into your body is oxygen, you know, in liquid form and in structured water form, you know, or even herbs that release oxygen, you know. But like I said, we just out here cooking, no pun intended. We're just out here, you know, going in the spirit, you know, because Esau put a covering cast over our minds, and until the apostles came out, for a lot of us, we really didn't know what to put in our body, you know, because we didn't connect food with health. And Esau was finessing us all type of ways in regards to health, you know. Then you'll get sick and go to his Dracula house, his Dracula palace, man, where they just put all type of needles in you and just extract your blood and all this type, and then make you dependent on those pills, man. That's death, man. You're just in a low vibration. You know, that's a low vibration to just move like that, man. You know? You know? Some brothers get into that keto, that carnivore, that Mediterranean, you know? But, you know, it's a beautiful thing, like that eating a lot of fruit, nuts. Nuts is high in just minerals, man. Fruit combined with nuts, you know, depending on what type of diet you're on, you know. But I mean, that's pretty much the point. I keep saying that, but it's pretty much the point, man. That oxygen is a powerful element. It's probably, I would say, as a speaker, as a man, it's probably the most powerful element there is, because you literally can't live without it. And if you can only go so many minutes without it, you know, you can only go so many minutes. Whereas other elements in the periodic table, you can go longer without it, you know. And I think earlier I kept saying the word carbon dioxide, but I meant to say carbohydrates. I don't know if I said carbon dioxide or carbohydrates, but I meant carbohydrates. And that's a combination of the three elements on the periodic table: carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. All right, but with that, I hope this is of edification. Once again, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Havashai, Bahasharok HaHakodash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone. Rule well. Peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. Abba Baal, Kum Yashala, Shalom.